NFL free agency. And as we get ready for the NFL draft, we certainly are in NFL trade season speculation. And WEEI, the crew over there today in Boston, was speculating on a pretty interesting trade proposal when it comes to the Patriots. Listen to this proposed trade from the guys at WEEI.
I say you take quarterback Stephon Gilmore, traded to Cleveland Browns.
So I think that was Nick Stevens who did that. He wants to trade Stephon Gilmore for OBJ straight up. Would you do it? 802-585-3026. Stephon Gilmore for Odell Beckham Jr. straight up. I wouldn't, but I am tempted. I have to admit I'm tempted, but I ultimately wouldn't do it. OBJ has always shown an affinity for Tom Brady. He has not shown an affinity for the New England Patriots. And there is a difference, and there's a big difference. When Tom Brady was the quarterback here, I think Odell Beckham Jr. would have walked to get to Foxborough. Without Brady, it's not that appealing. It's not appealing to Beckham. It's just not. If the Patriots were a draw to him because of Tom Brady, and without him, the Pats are not appealing to Beckham. And by the way, Beckham's coming back from a torn ACL. He will be out to show that he's healthy. He will be out to show that he's an impact player. He will be out to show that you shouldn't forget about him, and he will want the ball a lot. And I don't think it's the Pats' best interest to bring Beckham into an organization where, A, you have a young quarterback that you're trying to develop who now feels obligated to get him the ball. We saw that with Baker Mayfield, a young quarterback who tried to force feed OBJ the ball. That's a problem. And that is why people think that Mayfield is better without Beckham, because there's not the pressure of just trying to get him the ball 10 times a game and fit it into tight windows. If the Pats do what I want them to do, which is draft a young quarterback, don't put that same pressure on him. Even Eli Manning was a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He felt the need to throw it up to OBJ 18 times a game. Quarterbacks have felt obligated to get the ball in this guy's hands. And it's sorry for it stinks for OBJ that this is now the knock on him, because it's not even really his fault. But he's such a good player. He's such a dynamic athlete. Coaches and executives, when they get him, want the ball in his hands. And there's a directive down to the quarterback, or at least a feeling of the quarterback, like, hey, we got to make this investment worth it. Mayfield struggled with it. If the Pats go the way of the young quarterback, don't make their young quarterback do it too. It's not smart. Also, if the Pats, don't bring in the young quarterback like I want, if they just ride it out with Cam or Fitzpatrick or whoever, you have a team that's still in transition. And that team in transition is still a run-first team. Does OBJ really want to be a good soldier on a team that's going to run it 35 times a game? I don't know. Like, obviously, he's tough and he's willing to block. Like, I get that. He's a hard-nosed player. But if OBJ is out to prove that he's still the man, is he going to want to come here and catch 60 balls? Now, like, if he gets traded, it's not really up to him. But, I'm just thinking, is OBJ going to be real happy to be here? No. If he's going to come and catch 60 balls and let them run it 35 times, I don't see Odell Beckham Jr. being all that thrilled about a tenure in Foxborough. And as far as I'm concerned, the Patriots should trade Stephon Gilmore. They should. The smart and prudent move would be to trade Stephon Gilmore. But as far as I'm concerned, trade him for a young player that's got 4 to 5 years on his deal. OBJ's got 3, and he's expensive. I just think there's a better use of the Gilmore asset than a receiver that's almost 30, that now has been hampered by a number of injuries in his career, and only has 3 years left of team control. I would just rather trade Gilmore for a draft pick that I can have for 4 or 5 years that's going to be cheap. And then with what's happening around the league right now, the bargain basement this year is going to be way better than usual. And I think the Patriots can go and capitalize on that. Like, Beckham's due like $19 million this year. They can go find 2 receivers that are pretty good at that money because of just what's happening around the league. and they can utilize their draft picks. I just don't think that they need OBJ at that money. And I think Gilmore can find them an asset that's here for a little bit longer term. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEV.